process of fitting the rods. The end gaps or the side clearance was too tight. I mean, I couldn't even get a thou feeler gauge in there. I can't find any real specs on it, so I'm doing an educated guess. I am finding specs anywhere in the manual I got from the 40s, right around in between 5 and 15 thousandths. I do see some hot rodders are going bigger than that. This is not a hot rod, so I'm shooting for 10. That's my 10 thousandths feeler gauge right there. So that's right at 10 now. I'm also doing the final scraping on it. I got the rods to where they're moving freely, but if you can hear this, but yeah, shit, I gotta hold this. Right there, that's just a small little tight spot. I should be able to put this rod straight up and down. It should stay there, and then when I push it, it should fall on its own, which it has almost done right there. It's almost done. So I'm finishing up the scraping. I'm down to the last rod number 6. I've got these all sized appropriately. Now the way I'm doing this is, since I don't have a line bore to put the rod on and tighten it up, I've got a flat edge holding it down flat so that the two sides are lined up the best they can be, and then snugging it up. Now I did notice something else that the wonderful machine shop has done. I don't know if I can get in here and show you this, but you can see the shim pack on this side right here. Look how far it is from the end of the Babbitt. Now, look at that. They got it right pretty much up against the end of the bearing. There. So I'm going to try to take the material off, or I will take the material off the right hand side of this bearing. I don't know how concerned I need to be with this, because modern rods don't have Babbitt or bearing material that extrudes. It's actually parent metal. And I think if I do have the proper clearance, it's going to probably try to center itself. I really don't think that shim is going to damage the crank in any way. I have to think about it a little bit. Way I'm doing this is, since the clearances are between 5 and 15, and I am shooting for 10. I got one at 12, another one a little higher than that. Instead of making a jig and putting it in the end mill, which is just going to be time consuming, I'm just coming over here and doing a grind on it, going back and forth, cap on, cap off, put it on the crank, see how it goes. Okay, what I'm going to do is lightly touch up both sides, just because these caps for some reason aren't lining up. The cap isn't lining up directly with the rod. I tried my best, but I'm going to clean up both sides to where there's no low spots on either side. I don't know if you can see there's a low spot right in there. I didn't see any sparks, so I'm not into the shim yet. I'm gonna go on this side. I'm not worried about the shim side anymore. Now I'm gonna go disassemble this and put it on the crank and check for side clearance. Okay, I need to take a little bit more. There's a high spot in there or two. You can hear it chirping. And what I'm doing also is I got my 10 thousandths feeler gauge here. I'm sticking it in, and I'm rotating the rod around while I'm doing this. I just found a tight point right there. So I am going to mark that. Put it back in, rotate it. So I only have that one tight point right there. I'm going to address that. Another thing that I did when I put these together is torque it to 45, and I tap the rod one direction and I hit the cap the same direction. So that way I know they're not offset, or they're not staggered. They're not staggered. So let me get this back off, get them high spots out of there, and clean up that tight spot. Okay, first things first, right there is where I marked the high spot. I'm just going to go in and lightly hit it. That should do it right there. Now the squeaking that you're hearing in there, I don't know if you could see it, but it's coming from those shiny spots. There's not many of them. They're just a little bit high. Same thing, just come in and I just hit the high spots. That's it. I don't hit the rest of the cap. I'm not taking much off. That's why it takes so long to do this, because if you take too much off, you're screwed, and then you gotta mess with the shims. There's a good shiny spot right there. And another thing I'm going to do after I get the shiny spots off, I come in with some emery paper and a little bit of rubbing alcohol, if I can find that. And I just come in and I clean it up a little bit. And what that does is, if I have a high spot next time, the rest of it will be dull from using the emery, and the high spot will stand right out. But I'm pretty close on this. You can see how that dulled it right up. Okay, a few more times of doing this. Well, it took 2 days, but I'm done. All the journals came in at 1,500, 2,000. 2,000 was the largest. That's how it's supposed to work. I'm calling it good for the night. Gonna have to go back to Minnesota and get more.